I got my food. I just think about maybe a problem that can happen with the spawner that we just fixed right now. Let me give you an example. I think maybe one of the problem that could also happen it is when the miner mine the clay for us. We changed recently the miner, and I was I was making my sandwich, and I just think about it. I said, yeah, that can be an issue because when if I can put some little background, when I mine the object, let me just get the shovel so I can show you. That's going to be much better than me explaining. When we change the block to the empty object, okay, I just explained on the previous video. If I get the get assembler ID, you see now that we hide inside the assembler ID uh, the object that we want to create. Okay, so this is the one that we generate 5882, and this is the block that we change. So we change the block when we mine it, when we shoveled it, to 5886, and this is the empty object here. But to store the information, to know what to respawn, we hide. Oh, let me just put this thing. Okay, so to store the information to know what exactly was on the block or for some system anything, we store inside the block as the assembler ID. Assembler ID are hidden number that you can hide inside the number. So it's a short that you can hide inside the map, and this is exactly what we do. If I check right now the assembler ID of this block, it is to 0. If I mine the block, now we are swiping both the block to the empty object, but we are keeping the a reference of the object as the assembler ID. So it can be very useful for us later to understand what was here. Was it coal? What is clay? And one thing that I was thinking while making my breakfast is probably that the NPC doesn't set the assembler ID. And if it doesn't set the assembler ID, the problem that you are going to have is this clay miner here is going to look for a block that has exactly this block, but also exactly this assembler ID. So I think what people happen is that slowly the spawner is going to be overwhelmed with object around it because the clay miner are going to do everything without replacing. So just to test my theory, we are going to give it a look. Click. There you go. This one. Okay. I really want to change the roof of the house. It is so annoying to figure out which one is which. So let me just use my cursor. Get out. There you go. So if I put multiple clay miner here, we are going to accelerate the problem that I'm thinking about. And if you check here, get assembler ID. Haha, we find the problem. Okay, this is exactly what happened. Let's see how it go. But the clay miner are going to go very crazy about mining all the stuff that is going, and this thing here won't be able to spawn the normal clay, because if we return to the blueprint, you see here what we are looking for: object finder, and the object finder is looking for this assembler ID. And so at the beginning, the clay miner is going to work, but slowly the place is going to be filled with more and more objects that won't be able to be replaced, because all of them will have the wrong assembler ID. So this is right now the problem, and this is probably because we changed recently how everything is working. So I'm going to enter a very complex blueprint. As I said earlier, try to avoid to exit the more complex one, but right now we find the problem. So let me take some I just get my breath fixed, and if I don't eat I'm going to die. So okay, so right now when the NPC, there you go. So when the NPC is replacing the block, when it gathers the stuff, it doesn't change the assembler ID, and this is exactly what is happening right now. Okay. That is a blueprint that Garpy made. I'm going to check store resource, build, rack, gather resource. So probably in this section here, it is very important to keep when you guys made a blueprint or stuff like this. You see that the clay miner doesn't have all this very beautiful organization. Big thanks to Garpy. In general, when Garpy enter a blueprint, I know it can be very well structured, and it is very important because when you have a problem and something is going very wrong with the system, being able to quickly identify what is going on and what we can do. You see here, that's the problem. Assembler ID, it's set to 0, and the problem is it's that the assembler ID is going to set to 0. So what it caused every spawner in the game to fail. You see right now, look what is going on. So what we fixed earlier was not a problem. Okay, we fixed that problem, but it was not the issue. Probably that the get random location was doing its job, but slowly the thing here is going to be more and more and more filled with assembler ID that are empty, and we are going to be stuck not being able to spawn anything, and this is probably what happened. So normally what I do is I go in game, I sit with the player, and I try to understand what is wrong and when it's wrong. So this morning I just got wake up for the problem, so I didn't take the time to do this analogy and check what is going on. But just by seeing this will have give me very alarming, and it will have helped me to understand the situation, because it is not broken 100%, and that's the important thing when you try to debug stuff. You try to understand what is going on. If you place the mob spawner, because in general I always test my stuff, and yesterday I placed the clay miner and tested myself, and everything was working. So if it's working on a certain case, when exactly do it stop to work? And now what you can see is we have some report recently of NPC not doing their work, and you see the NPC are not doing their work, and the mob spawner right now is not able to spawn anything because it's searching for this very small chance to reach this empty block here. So if it failed 10 times, because we changed the script earlier, it's going to fail and just don't spawn anything. Okay, it will stop to work. And the reason for that is because the NPC, when it changed the block, is going to change the empty pit, but it's not going to set the assembler ID, which causes a big problem for every of them. Right now, what we've done recently is that we take every NPC in the game, which has their very own brain, and it was super tedious to make some change. So if the lumberjack were very stupid and not doing their job, we were fixing the lumberjack, and oh, they were made some kind very similar, so suddenly the clay miner has the same issue. So what we've done is we make sure that every NPC has the same behavior, the same blueprint. So probably what happened right now is Garpy at the beginning of the blueprint is going to set a variable that is the target resource. So if you are a lumberjack, you are going to do this. If you are a miner, clay miner, you are going to do this resource. If you are a coal miner, you are going to do this other resource. So what we have to do, sorry, going to take another. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to find where this target resource is set. There you go, it's probably just here. So in the beginning of the initialize of the blueprint, you see here unload, that is the second that the blueprint is going to be generated. So what Garpy does, it's looking for the name of the NPC. So if it has in his name coal, clay, sand, stone, iron, iron class carpenter, the script is going to reach a specific destination. Okay, so you see here that we have the set NPC. So right now what I'm going to look at is the cold clay. So we want to see the clay because we are currently testing the clay. So case 2, case 2 is here, and we have right now these numbers that are 5580, which is the empty what is this, do I have one clay left? Let me just put this one here so we can give a chance to the spawner. And I want to see a clay. Please give me some clay. Oops. Okay, the system failed because it searched for the empty, but the empty succeed, but the empty. Okay, so all of them have to be removed. Oh no, not all of them. Let me see. I'm wrong. No, it doesn't work. Okay, let's fix one bug at a time, because if you start to try to debug everything at the same time, you are going to get crazy. And okay, this one is right, so this one is going to be changed. Let me see. Can you give it to me, please? There you go. Okay, so 5882 is the clay ID, and if you check here, 5882 is the clay ID. Right now what we have is we have the value that is set. So let's see, let's go check where is this variable. We have the first string that is going to be the variable called rack, which is the one that we are looking. No, that's not the one we are looking. The second variable, which is string 2, is set as target object, and this is exactly the variable that we want right now. Okay, so we want to add this as the assembler ID. Okay, so let's go. Will it break all the rest of how it works? Let me see. What we want it to do is, before changing it, we are going to get block. I think it will be a lot easier to not set the variable, because some tree need their number and everything. So simple change block, get block. So that is, I've been disconnected, so this is not good anymore. Target resource, that is for the NPC to search for a resource. I won't change it. Go to object is the node that's going to let me go to the object, and then the entity is going to use action. Technically, I think that's the last fix that Garpy done. In general, when you execute action with the NPC, oh, there's a missing entity here, but I think it resolved to itself. Yeah, clear inventory. So it clears inventory, but I think it add double protection to make sure that the block is really changed. Okay, so that is probably causing some issue. Okay, I won't change everything right now because, like I said, let's fix one problem at a time. But that's manipulation here probably cause I hear the farmer having some problems sometimes changing block that is not the right one on it, and that is probably the issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get block just before changing it. Okay, so before it change the block, what the entity is going to do is we are going to get the block information of the location that we are going to change, target resource, and we are going to change the assembler ID, the object ID, to the assembler ID. So we are going to do exactly what happened when I personally mine something. So now the NPC is going to have this clay miner. So there you go. Let me see, I can find any resource. So let's change this thing here to choop choop choop. Okay. Great. So let's see. Now it's spawned right here. This one should have the assembler ID. If I check, yes, it does. So it spawned the empty object. Now it's going to do another round in 10 seconds, and then it's stunning. So this guy here should be like, clay, very good, meow meow meow, and it put a rack on it because I reload him. Okay, that's my problem. Let me just remove. That's not what I want you to do, Mr. Clay. So let's just give it another try with a new one. Great. So now we have a new one. I'm going to copy paste it very fast and duplicate it when we have more. Yep, there you go. Choop, choop, choop. Great. So it spawned this clay, and from there, what it does, it is going to change the clay. If I change the assembler ID, you see now that we have the right one, and it is what this system here is going to search for. So if I remove all of them, now you see that we have the object changed by the NPC. Okay, so there's no more resource to collect, and this little guy here should be able to find the right one and replace it. And there you go. Now we fix the problem. So there you go. Hello, babe. Problem was not 100% fixed. Now it should be. So you don't know, but right now you are recorded. Ha ha ha. Okay, but like I said, this practice here is not perfect. That probably have been implemented as a fix, temporary fix, because in general, when the NPC is executing the action, it does exactly as the player. It does the action of mining and everything. So I think it was a quick fix that have been implemented to fix another problems. I'm not going to remove it right now because my issue right now is to fix the problem, but I'm going to question Garpy and maybe try next week to see if we can remove this part, what happened, what we can do to make the system be more I don't know how to say it, but in general, what we try to do is we try to make the NPC act exactly as a player. So if the NPC is going to shoot something, we want him to behave exactly like a player. If the NPC is going to interact with something, we want him to be able to interact exactly as a player. So it makes the NPC being more real, more I don't know how to describe it because I'm French Canadian and I don't have all the right word in English, but it helped to make a feel that the NPC are capable of doing the same thing as you do. Okay, so that cheat here is not supposed to be happen because when as a player you change, you don't have a script that is going to change the block and everything. So I suppose there was an issue and it was a quick fix, and the quick fix has a little problem in it. So now technically we should have fixed it, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to return to the NPC, the clay miner that we changed just earlier. I think the video is right now exporting on YouTube. I'm going to post this one on Discord, and I'm going to post the second one. Okay, just for fun as a test, I'm going to just revert back the change that we done, okay, to the clay miner, so I can see if it worked, and it is right. Okay, so let me change it. I'm going to go here, and from there you remember that we removed this random by this part here. Okay, so instead of using this random with a loop and everything, I'm going to return back with the get random location. Okay, you remember that we had a backup earlier, and this is exactly why I like to have a backup, because I refresh the page, so we don't have a backup anymore. So that's not a good thing to do, but in general I really like to have a backup. That's why so many times I have so many page open, so I can just return back to a previous version and check what was the system. So you see here I have this random location getter. I have the max radius that is going to be 6. Get random location give a much better interesting functionality for random in a circle. So I'm going to revert back to this one, and what we are going to do is it's going to get from the center if it succeeds to find a location, we are going to get the block from the location. Okay, we are going to set the region to let's keep it like this. It is not perfect because when we add the PvP system right now we have multiple regions, but in general the region 1 it is the right one if you want to search for something. So what I can do right now is I can remove this section here, and we are going to check for the object if it is empty. Okay, so I will keep this setting. You remove this one, I connect this one here, so you understand why sometimes some of the blueprint has garbage. I'm going to just keep it here in case it fell again. This one I'm going to remove it, and this one here too. So all the good work we done earlier is going to the garbage, but that thing happened. Okay. So if it fell, it's going to skip right here. Choop. So this is not good anymore. Let me change it. And if it succeeds to go here, it's going to change the block. Great. So it get a random location from the location. It changed it get the block, or we double check to make sure that the block is empty, not remove or destroy something that the player plays. And from there we are going to change the block, and then we are going to do the loop. And that thing here is completely useless. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep it for the moment, but when we redo the blueprint I'm going to remove it. So radius region 6 telephone, there you go. Okay, I think it is good. Let's reload, let's test it so we can see if it worked properly. Let me just remove all the clay. Yonk 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 yonk. There you go, 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 and you die too. Good. Okay, so now oh, I'm going to keep it overall. Yeah, sure, why not? What's wrong? So, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to remove the random location, so, random number, so we can test it a little bit faster. Okay, you see, boop, we have clay. It is a bit far away. I'm just going to reduce it a little bit. No, not this one. This one here. Okay, there we go. So always test your change. Always test how it behave, how it work with multiple situation. What like if it work with NPC, if it work with stuff. And let me get some house. Why I don't have any house? There you go. I need some house. Did I lose the match again? Yes, I'm going to lose the match. I don't know why Vape is saying that. I'm supposed there's something happening right now that I have goddamn no idea. I'm going to check this problem later. So there you go. And from there, what we are going to do is we are going to place the clay miner again. And let me remove this. And from here, 1, 2, 3, 4 block the random is going to get. And if we check here, everything seemed to work much better. Let's see. The spawner is going a bit crazy because we removed the timing, but you see right now that the NPC is going to do, and that problem probably also affect the coal miner. So we are going to test the coal miner also to make sure that everything's working, and I can sleep on my 2 here and be very happy about it. So there you go. So clay miner, and let me just remove all of them. Yonk 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 yonk. You are took. All your coal belong to us. Oh, you see that the coal right now still has the random. So I'm going to just disconnect this one too, so we can test. You see that this one has the it's a little bit better. in the formatting. That's the problem right now, is that every spawner has their very own blueprint, and that is a very nightmare stuff to fix. While the NPC now all have the same blueprint, so it is much easier to work with. So there you go, it seemed to work. And if I check here, get assembler ID, yes, it worked. Okay, great. I think, guys, we managed to fix the problem. There you go. And let me just, oh, I'm very curious about the size. 6? Okay, it is 6. It is quite big, but I'm going to keep them the same. So both of them has the same radius. Okay, so random is back. The coal work, the clay work, and the NPC seem very happy to mine all this little clay. So there you go. I think we managed to fix this issue this time. So I'm going to keep an eye on the problem, and like I said, make sure to always test everything. Sooner I was a bit asleep and I wanted to get my breakfast very fast, but in general I really like to redo and test everything so I can see in real time, real situation, what is happening right now. You see that right now the NPC is having trouble into getting the coal here. I don't know exactly why it's doing this. It is because it just spawned here. Sometimes it's the region centers. No, it is right. So why are you? Did we just broke something? These guys are working. These guys are not working. So, oh, they are. Okay, that's my fault. It's because I reload the blueprint, I think. Okay, I think I understand what is going on right now. Let me reload, see. Why you're not searching this one? Is it because there's something? So you see that when you try to resolve a problem, sometimes you find many of them. So you go into a rabbit hole where you spend your entire day just trying to resolve some of the issue. So why are you not searching for this one? Is it something that we broke? Or was it a bug that was there before? Okay. So let's see. We have the coal. It is the coal at the top, which is searching for, you remember earlier that we had this thing here. And it is searching for this number or this number. And what is exactly this number? I'm very curious. The coal and, oh, I think this is part of the problem.